Hey, beautiful souls. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. How are you feeling today? It is such a wonderful and amazing time to be alive in this present moment. And the topic of today's video is humanity will never be the same again. The question that we wanted to introduce, and I'm going to hand this ball over to you, Jerry, is where in the world are we right now experiencing what's happening and where are we heading as a collective moving towards the future? What do you think?
I don't know, bro. I'm just floating in a bubble, man. Like just observing and being and wondering, because there's so many potentials available to us as a species. And I
Yes.
think that's really what makes me so hungry, so dedicated, so determined, and just so grateful to be alive on the planet, that there is all of these potentials available in the field. And with the spikes of energy that are hitting the planet at the moment, we have probably one of the best opportunities as a collective to do galactically groundbreaking things and feats that can change the course of human history. You know, we've been subdued for thousands of years. We've been manipulated for thousands of years, but we are waking up radically fast as a collective. There's still a long way to go, but we're shifting and shifting. I mean, where we've come in the last 2 or 3 years, maybe as much as what we've grown in the last 50 years before that. Like it's the exhilaration is picking up, and I feel we're headed into pure magic and miracles if we want it. And the key word there is if we want it, if we choose, because we are humans that have the ability to choose. We've got free will, but are we aware enough to harness the fact that we have this ability to choose? Or are we going to carry on down that crazy old road that is just going to keep us going through Groundhog Day again and again, recycling our soul, recycling our days, living to please other people? Or are we going to realize that inside these avatar vessels are superhumans waiting to wake up and express themselves? That's what I feel, bro. We're superhumans waiting to watch our own selves birth our own selves, our own superhuman selves from within inside of us. You know, I
Yes.
see that
Yes.
spark in your eyes, that spark in your soul. You know, and we need to see it in everyone's.
That is exactly it, my brother. You absolutely nailed it. And it's a beautiful way to, because as you were speaking, there were so many things that were going off. And I want to start with this part because you said it so well, right? At the end of the day, there are infinite potentials of and doorways of opportunities as to where humanity is heading. The energy is supportive towards what and I think Jerry agrees with me that humanity is heading towards, which is our systematic, our innate ability. And I think that this is an innate gift that is in within human beings that has been in some ways compromised or manipulated, whatever words and context that you want to use, that has created division amongst human beings. And I think just like Jerry's shirt, one love, one heart, one human family, that slogan is everything. And where we are moving towards is more a heart-based collective and towards a more expansive human race, because inevitably at the rate of speed that we are growing with population, with technology moving forward, for us to sustain ourselves and to exist or to coexist in this world, we have to change some ways. I mean, evidently, the way that we're, working with, pollution and with all the things that are going on inside the world, the structures and the system that was supporting the old paradigm is no longer suitable for the where we're moving towards as a collective. So that's really what this conversation is about, is where are we going and what can we do as a race to help facilitate that change? How can we get from where we are to where we are moving collectively towards a more unified race, towards a more loving race, and towards realizing and going through, like Jerry was saying, the birthing cycle of recognizing our super natural powers, our supernatural innate gifts and abilities that are opening up. For those of you who watched the last video, we were talking about some of the amazing gifts and a lot of things that are coming online for the star seeds, the light workers who are self-realizing and going through their birthing process and their cycle of awakening. And I think that what's happening now as a collective is we are moving into our innate supernatural abilities that are coming online more and more readily. People are experiencing more and more spiritual or mystical experiences. People are more and more heading towards natural and holistic therapies. People are more and more taking care of themselves, being aware of their emotions, moving through the obstacles and challenges, and seeing that inside of themselves is a fire that will forever burn.
Yes, brother. I think we should focus on like the basic principles, man. Those basic principles, what you just said, what have we got to do to get there? That's the question, isn't it? And what can we do right now? For you, for me, for everyone listening, everyone watching, and all their friends and family and loved ones, and all of our sisters and brothers on the planet. What can we actually do to enable this process to unfold in the way that we need it to unfold, so that we can live on a harmonious planet where everybody loves each other and cares for each other and shares with each other, and wants everyone else to climb up the ladder in front of them, because they're happy just to follow them up, because we're all equal. No one needs to be in front of anyone else. What do we need to do? I mean, I think we've got to bring it back to basics. We've got to bring it back to the basics that can help us have clarity in our own minds. And if you go back to just basic nutrition, if you go back to basic exercise, breath work, meditation, some of these fundamental primal ingredients that we need to sprinkle into our own lives, we can actually be clear, focused individuals with a common goal. And that common goal will bring us together. But whilst we're shoveling shit into our mouths and we're pouring crap down our throat and we're watching television, we're not exercising, we're playing on our laptops and our phones and computer games, instead of running and jumping and climbing through trees like monkeys. We're supposed to be having fun and laughing and joking and climbing and running and dancing and being free. We need to meditate to access that present moment and that stillness and that heart space. We've got to rewind and bring it back to that, because a lot of people are thinking, well, there's this ascension process is happening. I'm waking up. I've got this opportunity to tap my superhuman potential. I need to travel. I need to astral travel. I need to pop out of my physical body and travel through the mystical fields of the quantum world. What about actually bringing it back to basics and raising our vibration that way and increasing our levels of light through breath work and meditation and eating photons from the sun through sun gazing, fruits, vegetables, clean living? Just by bringing it back to the basics, we're going to raise our vibration. We're going to have so much more clarity of consciousness. We're just going to know exactly what we need to do. And then loving people, hugging people, accepting people, zero judgment, all of these things that trip us up as a species, they'll fall by the wayside, because our clarity of consciousness, our clarity of focus and mind, it won't allow that to be there anymore. And even if it tries to be there, we'll have so much light shining out of ourselves that we'll just blitz it out of the way, and we just won't give it any attention. And by not giving it any attention, our energy won't channel in that direction, and these things will crumble and dissolve. But whilst we're trying to get to where we think we need to go to, we're causing ourselves problems because we don't need to go anywhere. Do we? I mean, where do we need to go? Like, we are whole as it is. You know, we are these just benevolent, beautiful, magical, energetic beings. I mean, we're full of light, information, code. We've got 12 strands of DNA. You know, and we're the cloister races, the star seeds that are here on planet Earth, holding that 7 to 12 strand matrix, ready to ignite it for our sisters and brothers. You know, there's lots of other people, beings, souls on this planet, but there are a select few that are carrying this higher DNA matrix, holding the genetic encodements to allow those codes to flow into everyone else as the sun pours down, as the central sun flows into our local environment, and we're waking up. I mean,
Yes.
what do you feel, Chris, about the light codes and the energy frequencies like coming into our local environment that are actually triggering beyond this 2-strand DNA matrix? You know, this what scientists say junk DNA. You know, we know that it isn't junk. And what, you know, so how do you feel about what is truly inside of our DNA, and what do you feel, and what are your thoughts and feelings on the sun and the activation codes coming in to trigger this stuff?
Well, that's a beautiful question. And I think that there's many answers and many ways to address that question. But let's stick to one. I'm going to stick to this one and open it up from there, and maybe we'll expand on the subject. Because where we're at with I'll start it out with this. You know, I was thinking about this as you were speaking, and it's a perfect way to introduce this. Our structure in the matrix that was assembled from a third dimensional perspective has been founded upon the ideas and the concepts that the human existence, aka our physical body, operates like this. And how we see it is food is the primary fundamental tool for nourishment. Second in place, we talk about water, because you need water to supply yourself. You need it to exist, and our bodies are made up of 60 to 70% water. Then the third component is air, and the fourth component is light, which is energy. Now, our bodies can exist without food. If we take away food, the paradigm, our bodies can still exist, right? So, there's a certain amount of time that we can go up, many people know this, water fasting up to 40 days. If we live just predominantly off of water, we can go up to 40 days just on liquid nourishment called water. But let's take that away from the equation. What do we have left? Well, once water is taken away from the equation, the last thing that we have is one of the most vital components, which is what? Exactly what Jerry was emphasizing, breath. You see, we don't value breath enough, I think, in our society, and the value of breathing and the importance of breathing correctly. Generally, children breathe correctly, and as we develop into our adulthood, we go from the correct way of breathing, which is down to the belly. You ever see children on the beaches when they're running around, their bellies are going. Generally, when you see somebody who's older, it's usually a chest compression. We actually switch, and we forget to breathe fully into our bodies. And I think that, like I said, that is a vital component. Now, if you take away breath and you stop breathing, the last component of our existence that allows us to exist is what? Is the sun. And that sun is what? Is light. And that light is what? Energy. And that energy is what allows this body to operate. And unfortunately, from my perspective, and what I wanted to introduce and put this into the context for everybody who's watching, is that unfortunately the focal point is the food first, then the water, then the breath, and then the energy. which is that light. And what I think is happening now as people are starting to awaken is the scales now are twisting on the axis, and people who are becoming more consciously aware are recognizing I'm an energy body first. I need to look after my energy inside. I need to eat the energy that brings life into existence, which is a perfect example of what Jerry was saying. Sun. The sun is fuel. When plants and vegetation grow and produce chlorophyll and enzymes and ingredients, they need the sun. We need the elements to flourish in our environment. But predominantly, light is, in my opinion, which is energy, is first. Second is breath. Third is water. Fourth is the nourishment of solid food, fruits, vegetables, high vibrational superfoods, compounds, all of those important things to nourish our body. And what's happening and what we can see is, especially in regards to the Schumann resonance of what's happening, we're seeing these spikes, a lot of the science and the data and the information to support this evidence that there are some changes inside of the electromagnetic field within the sun. We are aware of this. Now, consequently, we also know that geomagnetic storms, shifts in planets, where we're at in our moon cycles, they affect the human body. And what we are really entering into is this frequency that is coming through is allowing us to unlock that information that is encoded within the structure of our DNA. And what I've always said is the DNA, or our physical bodies, however you want to look at it, is the map back home. And once we start to assemble, and I think now the ancient teachings are, and our ancestors, and the knowledge that was so for so long suppressed. I mean, I know you know this growing up in school, Jerry. They didn't teach us about chakras, about energy, about balancing your emotions, or about any of those topics and those subjects. I mean, we had to relearn our way of living. And I think through this process that we are relearning, the energies that are coming from the central sun and the great central sun are supporting this cellular modification that essentially our DNAs are starting to plug back in together. I mean, there's data about this. I don't know if you saw that recent post, Jerry, that the scientists came out and they found that, they say the majority of humanity is only operating on two strands, the rest is junk. But did you see the article that came up about the scientists that did a study and they found humans with four strands of DNA that was active? And what they found also in the research and the data, they found that people who had four strands of DNA active were actually massively more healthy, and their immune systems were much higher than those who had only two strands. And that's only the cusp of the research, because as you and I know, and many people who are on their conscious path of awakening are realizing that with more strands, more gifts and innate abilities, more telepathic or intuitive signs and gifts begin to come together. So to answer the question, this is a significant time in human history of what we are going through with these energies. And the energy is what humanity is really entering into, is their ability to hone into feeling these things, because for so long we've been told to shut down the mystical side or the unseen side. We see this in our society right now, is that, if you as a child, if they see something that's not there, well, ooh, don't pay attention to that, don't look at that, don't experience that. And they shut down that side. And now what we're moving towards is we're opening that up. And I think the energy now is there to support that transmission. And many people who are in the pursuit of that are experiencing those anomalies, those mystical experiences. And like Jerry said, it's not so much about the astral, about traveling and traversing through dimensions, although it is an amazing journey. But like Jerry said, the foundation of the utmost importance is for us to embody that frequency. You are here to be a beacon of light to help shift humanity. And in order to be able to do that, we need to prepare our vessels to house and store that light within our bodies. What do you think about that perspective in regards to encoding and storing light inside of your body. And what's been your experiences? I mean, just share your insight on that, Jerry. What do you think about the entire idea and the concept of embodying light encoded frequencies, raising your vibration? What does it do? How can it affect you? How can it include, or how can it shape your life? Does it affect your relationships? Does it affect the quality of your life? Does it affect health, abundance, vitality? What are some of the things that come through, and what are your perspectives on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's an awesome question, man. I mean, you know, as humans, like just quickly coming back to that astral traveling thing, we're a lot of us are out traveling, floating around, thinking that we need to be up to experience, higher to experience, but it's actually not true. For us to really get those incredible experiences, we've got to be grounded down into the planet, because the earth is where we get our energy from. Those magnetic frequencies of the planet, also the electromagnetic frequencies of the stars, the two combined, the masculine and the feminine, harnessing and anchoring inside our physical bodies, is what gives us that strength, that wisdom, and the ability to produce superhuman feats. And this light, this frequency that is coming in, I mean, if I look at my own life, like my own personal experience, you know, going back 16 years, I was smuggling drugs for a living. You know, I was a very egotistical person that wanted fast cars and houses and gold watches and designer suits and all of that bullshit. And that was what I thought was making me happy. And then I had some experiences, and you know, these experiences that I had took me on a different path. And I'll save these experiences for another day, but the path that it took me on was healing. And very early on in my kind of healing journey, incredible things happened. I remember a guy, it was like New Year's, no, it was Boxing Day. It was the 26th of December. And I was contacted by a guy who'd been in hospital. And the doctors had said to him, no, if you make it through the next 48 hours, which are highly unlikely, we're going to have to remove 10 feet of your intestine and have a colostomy bag. You're going to have a colostomy bag fit, you know, to go to the toilet. He had tumors in his belly, he had cysts, he had diverticulitis, peritonitis, E. coli. The guy was in a mess. And anyway, they pumped him full of drugs and he made it through the next 48 hours. And then he phoned me up, and it was just after I started Star Magic. And I was just getting into this stuff. And he found me on YouTube, got in contact, and he said, can you help me? And like I always say, of course I can help you, even if I haven't got a clue. I always commit to it and I let the universe help me. Anyway, I went in to do this healing session on this guy. And I went in, I connected to him, and we had this healing session. Now, I'll tell you his experience from the healing session in his words. He turned around to me afterwards and he said, Jerry, you're never going to believe what happened. He said, we went into this healing session and two big shafts of light came down by my bed. He said, then a unicorn came and kissed me on my nose. And he said, then the next thing, I was inside this kind of like chamber. He said, I knew that I was in Egypt. I didn't know how that I knew I was in Egypt, but I did. And he said, I could see you and these surgeons over the top of me, and I could feel your hand in my stomach, like pulling things around. He said, when I woke up, he said, I looked down at my belly and there was a big physical scar across his belly. And he went to the toilet and he's like, I can't believe this. And he was taking photos and he sent me a photo. Anyway, he went back to the doctor, you know, a couple of weeks later, to check on the date for the surgery and all this sort of stuff. They ran some tests on him, nothing. No E. coli, no peritonitis, there was no tumors, it had all disappeared. And all I did is open my heart. You know, I set a great big intention to heal this human being. And I just went into his space. And the rest of the stuff that unfolded was just the light, the code, the energies of our ancestors, other beings from other dimensional spaces, my multidimensional selves, picked up his light body, took it to Egypt. And there was actually a group of surgeons around him with crystal light rods. And I was watching it. I didn't do anything. I just looked at the situation and thinking, this is crazy, man. This is wild. And you know, and he thought that it was my hand, but it wasn't. Anyway, you know, the healing had happened. He was completely like healthy. And you know, I put this down to what you were talking about, our bodies being full of light, our bodies being full of cold, and these other levels of knowledge and wisdom being activated within us by the light codes that are coming down from space, from the
Yes.
stars, from the celestial beings, from the suns, from the central sun, and all of these other cosmic allies of ours out in the universe. You know, they are activating dormant genetic encodements that are lying inside of us, just waiting to be woken up. But light is the only thing that can do that. And me personally, I'm no different from you, Chris, and you know, we're no different from anyone else watching or listening to this. Everybody has this potential. And what I've seen moving forward with Star Magic over the last 4 years is that we've had every single type of human that you could possibly imagine, every color, every nationality, every different language, different professions, you know, doctors, nurses, firemen, stay-at-home mums, computer geeks, lawyers. We've had everyone come to our trainings. And it doesn't matter what people walk into the training like, you know, even after a day or two, I can't do this. I'm going home. This isn't for me. The amount of times I've heard that. But by the end of the week, everybody is doing this stuff. Everybody is healing people that have had lifelong threatening diseases that have been diagnosed by doctors and the pharmaceutical industry, you know, and people shift these things. So what I know from personal experience is that every single human being on this planet has the potential to tap these innate abilities. It doesn't matter who you are. Jesus was no mystical being. Jesus was a normal man that frequented ale houses and brothels and fought the system. He was a normal guy that did a lot of inner work, just like you, Chris, just like other people, just like me. We're no different from anyone else. No one is higher or lower. No one is more mystical or less mystical. We're just human beings. And the more we can actually embody our humanity, and then through this human vehicle, bring through the frequencies from external, that's when we become powerful. But when we think or believe that we're these measly little humans that have to live in this kind of system, you know, in a certain way that obviously and clearly doesn't serve us, and that we're never going to be able to attain anything more than that, you know, living towards 60 and or working towards 60 or 65 and then retiring and getting a pension and hopefully having enough money to put food on our plates until we're 80 and we can die and have enough money to pay for our own coffin so someone can bury us in the ground. I mean, that's a bullshit kind of vision, isn't it? You know, but that's how a lot of people think. We all have the ability to step into the magic, to step into the power that is inside every single one of these human vehicles, these vessels. These things are amazing, you know? Like our soul is so expanded and so massive, and squishing it down into these human bodies sometimes feels a little bit uncomfortable. But we have a huge opportunity whilst we're here to harness these 5, 6, and 7D abilities in a human body on a planet called Earth. So let's stop trying to be something that we're not, embody fully what we are, and actually use these to a full capacity and drive them ever so fast. You know, they got an amazing engine. Let's turn the key and hit the accelerator, baby.
Brother, I love it. Yes, 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 and yes. And you know what's so beautiful? I have to put this story out there because I love the similarities, and I think this is what's going to help people to relate. Because the story that Jerry just told, you know, just before he started Star Magic and he really got in, like he was saying, you know, I didn't really know the full context of what I was going to do, but I just said, yes, I'm going to help. Like I'm here and my heart is open and I'm ready to do this. You know, when I started my healing journey and I started healing work on people, I want to share this story because I want to tell this story to everybody and also share it with you, Jerry, because this is the first time you're hearing it, is our stories are so similar. And why I'm sharing this is I think it's going to be so important for people to hear this, because what I'm about to say is exists within every single person. You see, there was a lady that approached me through a friend who had started to hear about the work that I was doing and what I was teaching and what I was offering with my healing work and all of this stuff. And I'd worked with an array of a few different individuals, but this was going to be the biggest one, which again, this lady was in stage 3, or I believe stage 4 cancer. I mean, it had spread through so many different areas of her body. She was in really, really rough shape. She had been trying every treatment that she possibly could. This was, CBD. She was, trying to do, oil therapies, all this different stuff, ozone. She was trying everything, but for some reason, it just was not doing its job. So her daughter approached me, who is a friend, and said, "Look, can you help?" Now, I had never at that particular time dealt with something so severe. I had worked with other underlying conditions. She was basically on the um, way out. The doctor had said she basically can stay at home, lay in bed, and you don't have much time to live. I believe that the time that they gave was just a few months for her to live. So her daughter, in a little bit of a fritz, said, "Hey, can you come? Can you do something? Like, can you help me?" And of course, I gave the same answer, which was, "I'm going to do everything I can. Yes, I'm here to help. Like, get me there, let me show up, and I'm going to do everything that I can in my power. Everything that I know. I've never dealt with this before, but I'm just going to, what's the worst that can happen?" So I came in and I met the lady and we connected, and I spent a good amount of time. And the same thing about what Jerry was saying, what happens, which is an innate quality that is inside of every single person, which is unconditional love and compassion for one another. And I think when you open up that space, and that's what ended up happening with me and her, because I saw her daughter, who was struggling to see, "I don't want to lose my mom." I saw her mom, "I don't want to lose my daughter and my grandchildren. I still want to be here." I saw the emotion in these two human beings, the mother's partner, all looking. I said, "I have to go into the deepest part of my heart and absolutely give everything that I have. I don't know what the outcome's going to be. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to give it everything that I have." So I spent 90 minutes on this woman, and I mean, 90 minutes. I just went in and I stayed and I stayed and I stayed and I watched her body. There was many things that she was going through: shifts, emotions, energy, the body moving, raising, breathing patterns changing, all of these, things that were coming on. But I don't want to drag this story on for too long. I'm just going to say the end portion of what happened. At the time, the lady hadn't eaten because the cancer was spreading so much. She was not able to eat at all. Her appetite was gone. She could barely hold down fluids. After the 90-minute session, she called me the next morning and said, "Chris, you're not going to believe this." She said, "My mom is eating. She hadn't been eating in 3 days. She wasn't able to consume any food, nothing." We set her on a little bit of a regimen. I gave her some extra different ingredients and things that I added, incorporated into her, transition. We did some extra energy work. This was 6 years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. She's still alive. She's still alive. She's
Amazing.
still well to this day. In the worst possible situation and scenario, she's still alive. She's still, she is cancer free, which is really amazing and really beautiful. And like I said, the reason why I'm sharing this story is because, again, the subject matter of what we have inside of ourselves is lives what lives in me lives in Jerry, and what lives in Jerry lives in each and every single one of you who is watching this live feed right now, which is the innate ability not just to heal yourself from a wound when you slice yourself, or a disease inside of your body. You have, with your energy, with this frequency, with love in your heart, there is a power that works with you. And I always say, I don't claim that I was the one that did the healing. I always say that I was only there to facilitate what was already inside of her. And I think that that's what lives, like we talked about, what lives in me lives in you, Jerry, and what lives in you lives in each and every single one of us. And the same thing, like you were saying about Jesus. Jesus was a regular guy. There's so many misconceptions about what's going on around there. They thought he's the one and the one true King and Son of God, and it's not true. If you listen to the messages that we are all the Son of God, we are all the Son of the One, the Creator. Whether you call it mother or father, whether you yin or yang, it is the source of what belongs and houses each and every single one of us. And our job and our journey is to recognize the source that exists inside of each and every single one of our bodies. That's what this journey of awakening is really about, which is realizing our own infinite potential, not to look at me or Jerry as, oh, he's an amazing healer, come fix me, come do all the things. We love to help, but we want you to realize that we are just guides of helping you to realize what's already innately inside of you. And we never, and I'm sure Jerry agrees, want to take away that power, because what lives in me lives in each and every single one of you, and vice versa.
Beautiful, man. Absolutely beautiful. Like, I want to just hone in, like, particularly on one thing that you said, like, we're not actually healing you. And this is so important for anyone that wants to get into healing or is into healing, truly in a stance, that when you're going into to heal someone, you're going in to facilitate the healing of someone. And what is actually doing the work is the lights, the love, the information that you're housing, and is also traveling through the empty space supporting you. Okay, the knowledge and the wisdom that has such an intelligence of its own that you don't need to tell it what to do or where to go. It just knows. Okay, it just knows what to do. And all you're doing as a human being is holding space so this process can take place, and so this process can flow through you. What I want to do, I want to read you a very short poem, okay? This poem is in a book that I wrote, and someone gave me this poem after I did a healing session on them. I want to quickly read this to you because it really kind of hones in on what Chris was talking about. I am not a healer. I am but just a shell. My spirit friends work through me to help make people well. They use me as a channel, their healing gifts to pour into the bodies of needy folk. I'm a channel, nothing more. Please don't call me a healer. I'm no different from you. I just give my time to serve the universe and see what I can do to help the spirit brethren pass on their healing balm, and pray that folks I meet each day experience no harm. Please don't call me a healer. My hands are nothing new. I'm just like an instrument to help folks such as you. And when my time approaches for this earthly frame to die, my sigh will cry out, thank you, God, for using such as I. That poem sums it all up, baby. We are just a vessel, and we are just facilitating certain processes to help our sisters and brothers on this earthly plane. And the quicker you realize that you are just as connected as Chris is, and just as connected as I am, and just as connected as any other human being on the planet is, you're going to get out of your own way, and the magic's going to start to flow. And you can just open this great big heart, and seriously magical things will happen to you and the people around you, just because of your vibration, just because of your frequency. We're not here to teach you anything. We're no gurus, we're no teachers. We're just humans. We're men. We're also women. We're the masculine and the feminine in divine harmony. And we're just expressing ourselves and being these channels to hopefully guide you back into your own heart, so you can unleash your own divine wisdom and be your own walking, talking miracle, your own walking, talking beacon of light. and you can go out and ignite that divine spark in your fellow sisters and brothers. And then all of these divine sparks, they just light up all over the planet like bonfires, and they roar and get stronger. And then all of those fires, they link together and become one big roaring fire, and humanity blends together, and we're unstoppable then. Unstoppable, Chris. It's such a
One love,
experience.
one
Love,
heart,
bro. One love,
one human family. That is exactly it, my brother.
Yes.
That's it.
It's it.
That's it. I mean, we could end the show now and just, that's it, because
Adios.
that is, yeah, adios, guys. We're all done. We're finished, because that just puts the lid on the jar. We sealed, we signed, we sealed it, and we released it to the world. Bro, that is exactly what it is all about. And I love that you and I, we share that same image and that same vision, because I've always said, for so long, I'm nobody's guru. I don't want anybody to look up to me. I hope that through my messages, people realize that the draw, that whatever brought you into this video is only your soul igniting what's already inside of you. And it's there only to be the inspiration for you to recognize your power. I am no healer. I am no guru. I am no this nor that. I am the nothingness. I am just the existence. I am that I am. I am just here existing in this vessel, here to be of service, to assist, and to remind humanity that what lives in me, like I said before, and I'll say it again, lives in each and every single one of you. Brother, I think we nailed it. I think we could slowly wrap that up, because there's not much more that you could add into what you just said there and what we just conversated on. I mean, amazing video today and interaction, Jerry. I love you, brother, and I love each and every one of you who is joining in on this and watching these videos. We are so excited for new things that are going to be coming up, new videos that are going to be introduced. Me and Jerry will be discussing that in the future. But for those of you who are watching, if you want to hear some of for example, I know that Jerry mentioned there was some stories that he wasn't going to share in this video. If you want to hear some of those stories that he mentioned earlier, comment in the section below and let us know. Maybe in a new video, he'll share some of those stories with you. If you have any subjects or ideas that you would like to talk, share that in the comments below. Make sure that you subscribe to our channel, because there is a lot of awesome content coming through. We do weekly videos. Perhaps in the future, we might be doing something a little bit more, but we would love for you to join us on this journey. And we appreciate each and every single one of you who are in the process of loving yourself, because that ultimately is the message of every one of our videos. Love yourself, love one another, and let's coexist together in harmony.
Welcome to the Ascension trip, baby.
Welcome. I love it, brother.
We love you guys. Thank you so much for being here with us. Remember to hit the notifications tab too. Very important. Don't miss these videos, beautiful souls, and share them.
There's lots of exciting material coming forward.
We're going to be pumping it out. And if you want anything in particular, like Chris said, stick your comments underneath, and please share them with your friends, family, and loved ones. Let's get this content shared. Let's spark the magic inside each and every one of us. You're amazing, beautiful souls. I love you, Chris.
Love you too, brother.
One love, one heart, one human family. Peace out, beautiful souls.
Love everyone.